Okay, so let me see. Oh, this little icon thing was blocking my. So I'll just click on the link myself when we open it again. So hopefully y'all done your notes and did the Cornell setup for it. If not, as I say, I'm not a dictator. I don't need you to do the Cornell format. It is very easy to just copy and paste what is on a note using your hand physically speaking. But I don't need you to do mindless job of copy and pasting. So it's very important. And most of you did this. I was very happy to see that. Try your best to answer the question in the presentation because at the end of the day, we need thinking skill, not memorization skill. Both are needed, but not just one without the other. Okay? So just like any electronic, you need both hardware and software for it to work properly. You need both the knowledge as well as the thinking skill of that knowledge for us to do well. So some clarification. I know this is a big issue for many, many years. Students still are a little confused about the difference between mass and weight. So for example, this is my pen. If I take this anywhere in the universe, in a spaceship, on the moon, into a space shuttle, going just outside of Earth, to Death Valley, to anywhere, the material, the plastic, the metal, the ink will not change. So your mass does not change anywhere. It is the atoms and the molecule that makes up the pen that determines its mass. So your mass does not change anywhere. Your weight, however, can change based on the amount of gravity, and gravity changes based on location and proximity to any massive planetoid or planet, a moon, okay? So your gravity can change depending on where you are. Two things affects gravity the most. One is mass. The bigger the mass something is, the more material it is, the more gravity it will produce. Two, how close you are to the center of gravity also matters. So here on Earth, your weight, aka your gravity, is gonna change because even though we have the same center of gravity, every one of us are a different length away from the center of gravity. The farther you are away, the lower your mass will be exponentially. It's by square, okay? So if I am, say, 1,000 feet from the center of the Earth, center of gravity, I'm going to be 4 times as massive if I was 2,000 feet away. So when you double the distance, it's 4 times less. So weight changes based on location. So with that, on the chat on the side, I would like you guys to answer this one for me. Where is Mr. Vu the heaviest? Put down 1 if you think here when I'm sitting in Bloomington, B-Town. 2, if I was visiting the Dead Sea in the Middle East. The Dead Sea is a place where all the water drain into from the surrounding area, and because it's so hot, the water evaporates and it becomes very salty. That's why it's called Dead Sea. 3, in Mile High City. Mile High is because it's 5,280 feet. That's 1 mile. So 1, Bloomington. 2, the Dead Sea. Or 3, in Denver. Which one am I going to be the heaviest in? Okay. And the correct answer is 2. The Dead Sea is where the water flows into it from the surrounding area. And just a little side story for you guys to know, and understand things. The Sea of Galilee is a big lake. It's kind of like, Lake Superior. But it's not a sea. It's called the Sea of Galilee. It's a lake. And it runs through a small river at first, and that river becomes later bigger into the Dead Sea. So one thing I want you to learn is from that story, think about it. The Sea of Galilee is filled with fish and life. It is always giving out fresh water, whereas the Dead Sea, all it does is just take water from everyone else, and it just wastes all the fresh water by evaporating it off, and that's why it's called the Dead Sea. So in this class, I want you to learn to practice by giving and participating instead of just taking. When you take things in only and you don't give, you tend to end up being dead inside. So just a little side story there for you guys. Okay. Next one. Where am I going to be the heaviest in? Here in B-Town, dancing on the moon, doing my moonwalk, and the moon is only about a little bit over 1% the mass of the Earth. So the moon is actually quite small in terms of mass compared to the Earth. Or me chilling, watching the sunset on the surface of Mars. Say, like if Elon Musk has a colony up there 20 years from now, who knows? Maybe Mr. Wu will hop a ride on there. But Mars is only 1/10 that of Earth. Where am I going to be the heaviest in? A, Bloomington, B, on the moon, or C, on Mars? A in Bloomington, B on the moon, which is only about 1% that of Earth, or C on Mars. Which one? A, B, or C? Okay. And A is correct because one, Earth is the heaviest, right? It is by far the heaviest, so therefore I have my whole weight. So here on Earth, I would weigh about 125 pounds. On the moon, even though it's 1% of that, you would say maybe Mr. Wu will weigh about 2 pounds. That's actually incorrect because I'm closer to the center of gravity on the moon. I will weigh about 1/6. So those astronauts who went on the moon, even though their spacesuit plus themselves on Earth would weigh like 300 or 400 pounds, on the moon they were able to jump and bounce around because they would only weigh 1/6 that of Earth, even though they're only about 1%, but they would still weigh 1/6. Mars is about 1/10 that of Earth, but if I'm hanging out on Mars, because it is a smaller planet, I'm closer to the center of gravity, I actually weigh about 40% that of Earth. So if I was on Mars, Mr. Wu would weigh about 45 pounds or so. Okay? So that's something to clarify. It's both based on distance and also mass itself. That was the number one question a lot of people got wrong last year. So watch out for that. But B was like, who cares, Mr. Wu? Is mass and weight. Let me tell you this. One year there was a country in Africa that was having a drought for about 8 or 9 months already. A lot of the animals were dying because they didn't have water to herd the animal and things like that. NASA, along with a private company, used their satellite to study the fluctuation in weight of the satellite as it's flying around Earth, and they found an area where the weight dropped a little bit and varied. What does that mean? That means that something below the surface is less dense than rock and soil. And what is in the soil that can be less dense than rock and soil? Well, it could be oil, which floats because it's an oil company. But this thing was a little bit more dense than oil. What else is also potentially in the earth that's more dense than soil and less dense than rock? It was water. They found a big underwater ground reservoir that is able to help alleviate the drought, and potentially the people, once they drill that, because the oil company is expert at drilling, they were able to provide water for the next 38 years for people to drink. 38 years. Something the size of about 6 million swimming pool worth of water for the people. So mass and weight, something we don't think about, but that's how they find oil to make gasoline. And you guys know how much you depend on gas as junior now if you drive already or your family drive, as well as things like that. Okay, so that takes care of the logistic. In about a minute, this is what I would like you to do. Can everyone see my screen? If everyone can go to slide number 5. Okay, if you can go to slide number 5, you will see your base group for today. Your name is there. I put your first name mostly. Please, in about 1 minute, join that base group. Here's the link on top for original Meet right now. You can go ahead and just hang up on our Meet once I tell you to, and go to the link for your group. And the odd group number 1, 3, 5, and 7 will answer question 1 through 4. These are questions that was already in your note, but I want your best to put down the answer. And then the even group 2, 4, and 6 will answer question 5 through 8. So question 1 through 4 here is in one slide. On the next slide is slide number 6. And question 5, 6, and 7 and 8 will be on slide 7 and 8. So you guys could, once you talk about in your group. I need one person or two, and you guys have full right to edit this page. So once again, let me post the link on the side. You guys should have full right to edit this page. I want you to write down the answer. So group one, try your best to write down the answer here. No judgment, okay? Please know this is a productive, constructive feedback group, so no judgment. Go ahead and spend 10 minutes and answer your question on the slide. So group one will do group one, group two will do group two, group three was 3, 7, and so on. The color is coordinated purple for question 1 through 4 and red for question 5 through 8. So go ahead and go and join your base group, and please come back at 9:25. I need the last 5 minutes for summary. Okay, so go ahead and go. See y'all back in 9:25.